You're sweating. Relax. Take a deep breath.
I haven't seen her in 10 years, Master. Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Midnight Mando. We are getting started here. Abby's on the soundboard. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Midnight Mando. Week 7. Awesome episode. We're going to be talking all about it. Welcome, everybody. How's the chat doing? How are my guests doing? Troy Benjamin, Ryan Dole, Abigail Gardner.
Hey, y'all.
The crew is here. We're ready to talk about Chapter 15, The Believer. Who is the Believer? That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
The Daydream Believer.
I'm a
Yes,
believer.
it was the Daydream Believer. It was Davy Jones.
Wow.
The WandaVision trailer.
It was the WandaVision trailer. And I don't want to brag, but my friend Marcia happens to be the president of the Davy Jones fan club. And if everything falls into place, he will be performing at the school dance.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So,
I thought you were going to say on this show because I was looking forward to that too. That would have
yes,
been fun.
girl.
Look what you've done to me.
He'll be singing to Ahsoka and all the females of the Star Wars universe. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Midnight Mando. My name is Craig Goldberg. Thank you so much for joining us. Another amazing week. I don't even know where to start. How was it watching an episode of Mandalorian, whether it was last night or this morning, after what was really one of the craziest days? If you're a Star Wars or a Marvel or a Disney fan, yesterday was nothing short of incredible. So I don't even, I'm so exhausted just from the sheer amount of overwhelming media coming our way. But before we
But
get
it's a good exhausted. It's the kind of
Good
exhausted you
exhausted.
want a cigarette. You know?
I do.
Yes.
Now,
that was brought up in the group chat many times.
Abby, you slept through some of the Star Wars announcements yesterday.
Yeah, I was really bummed. I chose a really bad time. I've been trying to adjust myself to like this time frame so I can stay up till 4 a.m. easily. So I took a nap yesterday. I totally missed everything. I came out, had to catch up. Kathleen Kennedy, all this stuff was going on. And
Yes,
I'm
Abby.
still catching up, honestly, because there's so much.
Abby was surprised. She walked in and said, "Kathleen Kennedy, I thought they kicked her out of Star Wars. I didn't think. Didn't you hear what happened? She was.
I thought her and Paul Feig were like hanging out
Yeah, on an island.
at the unemployment line. Come on. What's going on here?
Didn't Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau remove Kathleen Kennedy from the Lucasfilm office? No, she's been running the thing the whole time, and she's doing a damn good job.
Yes, yes.
Damn it.
Absolutely.
Killing it.
So
In a good way.
wow, we're coming in with takes. Hey, Troy Benjamin, all the way from Los Angeles, California. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I like you said, it was like you had Thanksgiving dinner at about 2:30 when they started unveiling all the content. And then you're like, oh, we have to eat leftovers again at midnight tonight. Oh, all right. Yeah. So I think I made a joke in our little group chat that we have to kind of prep on the show of like, hey, anybody want to play Squadrons? Because let's just keep this going. Even though I literally passed out immediately after the episode aired because it was so much. It was overload.
I mean, besides, plus all the Marvel announcements, plus Nintendo 64 Star Wars games being made into films. Not if I had my first choice, it would have been if they ever announce a Shadow of the Empire movie. It's gonna be wild. But
Dash Vanguard's going to show up in a show.
I do feel like they are specifically going to start. Well, not start, but they will continue to tap into Legends content and kind of pick and choose what they want to bring into the canon. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's, a good, I don't want to say olive branch, but a really good way to kind of continue to expand on the property while acknowledging, where it was for a very long time. So
Mara and Dash on Disney Plus 2025.
Yes. directed by the
Prince
Lonely
Shizor,
Island.
the series.
Right.
Brock Parker says they're going to make a movie about Cal Kestis.
They might.
Ooh,
That-
they could.
I need that
Yeah.
personally from an investment standpoint.
Yeah. Up the
Abby,
value.
how's the chat going tonight?
Awesome. Everybody's going off already. Welcome, everyone. Catherine, Brock, Julia showed up, Jason, Jessica, Mike, just tons of people.
Tons of people.
Yeah, and thank you, Jeff, for monitoring the chat. Always
Yeah.
appreciated.
There you go. And Christian Walsh with the super chat.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Christian, for super.
Oh wow! Thanks,
Thank you
man.
for the support. So let's get started because we do have a lot to cover. Obviously, we've got 1 week left in The Mandalorian, which means that we've been doing this for almost 2 months, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe there's only one episode left. I can't believe that we're at the end though, too. It's weird.
How dare they end this season
We're-
without my permission?
This
We were just finding our groove. Come
I
on.
was saying we were early. We were ready tonight for the show. Actually, we was like, oh, we kind of know what we're
Yeah.
doing now, and now we only have one left.
It takes me a long time to figure out characters' names and actors' names, and I could now come up with Cobb Vanth like that without having to go, what was Cobb County?
Just in time for a year
Yeah.
hiatus.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it was a very fast school year for sure.
It was. But listen, we're gonna get going. Chapter 15, which is like I said, episode 7 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. By the way, I should say it kind of came out yesterday, kind of came out today. Season 3 will begin right around Christmas of next year. So got a little bit of a wait, a little bit longer this time. It's gonna be almost a year, which is boy, if next year's as good as this year, then we'll be fine.
Well, I mean, and look how fast they produced the second season. So
Yep.
it's kind of like, it's crazy that it's even going to be coming out Christmas of next year. I was anticipating a little bit longer of a delay. So that's cool. I'm glad it's coming that quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
same here.
The
Yeah.
Believer, written and directed by and I'm gonna butcher his last name, Rick Famuyiwa. Is that close? Famuyiwa. He directed
Yeah.
2 episodes last year. Two of the best episodes from last year, The Child and The Prisoner. And Troy, you asked the question last week: why are they bringing back Mr. Bill Burr? I almost called him Cal Kestis. Mig Mayfield. Is it Migs or Mig?
Migs.
Now, I want to talk about that. One thing that is interesting is that the director, Rick Famuyiwa, I'm just going to call him Rick from now on, he wrote this episode as well, which is a little bit different because obviously Dave Filoni wrote and directed his episode, but all the other episodes have been written this season by Jon Favreau. So just some, I think that's good information for people to take with them. I don't know. I give myself a 10 for that information dump I just gave.
Yeah.
10
Well,
out
and
of
it was
10.
it was a pretty isolated episode too. I mean, if ever there was a bottle episode of The Mandalorian, this kind of felt like it. Like they had an objective, they went and they finished the objective, and it just brought them that much closer to the season finale. It's like I think Rick kind of was given that blank canvas of like, here you go, man, write 45 to 50 pages and go. And you kind of got that sense. He got to do a lot of character development, especially with the character that he introduced, and it was a very different episode, and I'm sure we'll get into that when we start talking about our credits and stuff like
Now,
that. But,
I don't
yeah.
know if you guys, we're going to do that right now, but I do want to brag about myself real quick. I seem to
Please do.
remember last week when Troy said, why are they bringing back this character? And I said, because it's Star Wars and you have to have at least one episode where they dress up as stormtroopers and sneak onto an
You
Imperial
did.
base.
Verbatim. I think you actually said that
Very
too.
astute.
Yeah.
And when they put on the tank trooper gear, I paused it. I went outside. I shook hands. I kissed babies. No, of course it's Star Wars. That's just part of it. It's the like you'd think the Imperials would figure it out by now, like some sort of identification system more than he's wearing the suit. It's got to be him.
He's got to be a stormtrooper. Like this has never happened before.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I feel like they heard me last week. Maybe we have some sort of influence. We don't have any influence on Midnight Mando, but in the first 5 minutes of the episode, they were like, well, we need you because we need the coordinates, and you are the only person who knows where there's a terminal, and you can only get to the terminal. And it was like, oh, they literally throw right out there exactly what I was concerned about last week. But
right. Well, let's get
Yeah.
into it. Let's like we do every week, we got to award those credits that'll kind of set the table for how everybody was feeling about the episode. So right now, how many credits are we going to be giving The Mandalorian Chapter 15? Ryan, start us off.
Ooh. I like that sound. The
No, bored.
There is no.
I'm-
Yeah, I cannot put you on a ride right now. I'm sorry, but I would like to know how many
Oh,
credits
man.
you want.
But well, I'm feeling generous. I'm feeling a little givey today. It could be
Givey.
because of yesterday. So I'm giving this 10 credits because I really like Migs Mayfield a
All
lot.
right.
I
Yeah,
think,
you've been talking
he's-
about him all year. You've been like, give me that Black Series figure. Give me that Vintage Collection figure.
Dude, he's my boy. I can hear myself when he talks. That's if I was in Star Wars, I would probably be Migs Mayfield.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes no filter Mayfield.
Yeah, no filter. And like when he tells Cara Dune, he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad. I wish that you were
great.
coming with us. You got such a sunny disposition." Like, it's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay, so Abigail, how many credits?
I'm gonna give this 8 credits, which is actually the
Oh.
number I'm seeing thrown out most. It's honestly, let's see, it's because it was kind of its own isolated episode. It didn't have Grogu in it, which is like so important to me.
Oh, it didn't.
Really didn't kind of miss that. I did love the episode though. I thought that it had some really cool like Mad Max Fury Road vibes. I thought there was some really awesome like moving vehicle action, picking guys off, like that stuff was very cool. And then once they infiltrated and got in, it was some really like impactful moments and a lot of like thoughtful conversation about, you know, which side to be, you know, kind of like both sides of the coin are the same kind of a thing. So there was some cool philosophical stuff in there. But because it didn't have Grogu, I'd say 8.
All right. I've got some thoughts on that, definitely. Troy, how many credits?
Yeah, I mean, for the same reasons that Abby was just talking about, I'm kind of like teetering on the edge of a 7 and an 8, so I'm going to be bold and go 7.5 credits,
Wow.
just because
Bold.
it was a great episode and had all of the philosophical stuff and all of the things that make you think and things that continue to make you think after the episode is finished. But it's the second to the last episode of the season, so it kind of felt like we had this momentum going, and it kind of ground to a halt with this bottle episode where it was fun and I enjoyed every moment of it. And especially once they got into the mess hall, that point forward was some of the best Star Wars episodic TV. But I could hear in the back of my head all the people that keep criticizing the show going, well, it's side quest to the series, side quest the series. Well, here they are in a side quest in the middle of like this ticking clock of having to go get Grogu before they do something terribly awful to him. And it felt like it killed a little bit of the momentum for me. So that's why I kind of pulled it down to a 7.
Okay. All
I
right.
agree. I saw a meme today that was like, "Well, you all were enjoying this episode. Grogu was still in chains. Like, how can you,
Come
how
on.
can you still like it?" Yeah.
In the arms of an angel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give it an 8. It's hard, right? This season has had these incredible moments. I mean, when you're watching a Star Wars show in 2020 and you are getting Jedi temples and seeing stones and Ahsoka Tano and you know
Crate dragons and
Great Dragons and Cobb Vanth
Man.
and Katie Sackhoff. There's just a lot. By the way, I like to interchange character names and actor names freely. Harrison
happens.
Ford, Luke Skywalker, all of them. So
Yes.
listen, I watched this and this just by chance. I was on YouTube today, and I watch whatever YouTube tells me to watch. I watch because I believe in the algorithm. I'm part of the problem. I'm part of the
All right.
problem. And that's why right now I want to talk about vaccines, and I want to
Oh
get
my
real with you
God.
guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Earth is flat. Yeah.
No.
we're all taking it.
listen. What I'm saying is, there was this conversation. I believe it was from James Cameron's show that he has on his Movie Masters. I don't know, whatever. It was like a 5-minute clip from that show, and it was his having a conversation with George Lucas. And George Lucas was talking about a lot of his philosophical thoughts about Star Wars and the social aspect of science fiction and how the Empire. And this is from the man's mouth. This is George Lucas. He said, this Star Wars is Vietnam. The Empire is populism. The Empire is that great, American or, Roman Empire that is full of hubris and full of, we are going to do these things and we are going to run the world and that's the way it's going to happen. And then the rebels were like, the whole thing about the Imperials is they looked at the rebels as terrorists. You're terrorist scum. You're rebel scum. But the way it was presented is you're rooting for the underdog, right? And then you've got all these people who are Imperials, who are the evil empire. But you got to remember, it's like the Clerks conversation. They had contractors and they had builders and workers and people who needed to make money. And people like we heard from Mayfield today said, hey, we lost 10,000 people. And they had families. It's like, so you're getting this, even though this episode was a little bit of a bottle episode, a little bit of a side quest, it was action packed, but there was these moments, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more in depth. It did have big thoughts. And I thought that, that conversation that he had with, that officer, which was just an incredible scene. We'll break it down. Really kind of spoke to a lot of that stuff that George Lucas was saying, which is, war is kind of hell. And when you take a step back and say, why are we actually fighting these wars? Like what is the cause that we're actually fighting for? It kind of makes you think. And go for it. Yeah. I don't know. I was just getting pumped up.
I was going to say, Craig, and I'm sure we'll get into it later, but this is one of the, they continue doing this. They're doing this in the Squadrons video game too, but we're humanizing the other side. We're humanizing the Empire. Because we are living in this world where there is not good, evil. There are no absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? That's what the whole spiel is in the prequel trilogy. And so in this particular episode, you see the stormtroopers cheering for them for making it through this crazy blockade. And there's this moment where you're like, oh, good for them. Like you feel really proud of them. But at the same time, like 10 minutes later, they bring up Operation Cinder, which has become this, Hiroshima bomb event in the lore and the canon of Star Wars. And it's like, well, there's a human inside the stormtrooper armor. It's not just a putty or a cyborg or something.
Right?
These are actual flesh and blood human beings, and they're having to deal with realizing, like, am I on the wrong side here?
Yeah.
Did I pick the wrong armor, or did I choose the wrong side in the battle?
I just put cuffs on a baby.
Yeah, we have baby cuffs on hand. Is that a bad thing?
And a lot of these, some of these questions, some of these like big philosophical, existential crisis type questions were asked in The Last Jedi, and that was kind of the whole thing with DJ, right? Where he is going to basically work for whoever the highest bidder is. And guess what? All the weapons and vehicles that the First Order is using and all the weapons and vehicles that the Resistance is using, they're all built by the same people. Whoa, my hand's into the other square. That was
really weird. That was like Back to the Future 2, where they're having to do the split screen thing and they're handing each other.
Don't you mean 3/4? It'll be a hell of a storm. Anyways, so yeah, I think those are cool concepts. Now, I wasn't expecting those concepts to be introduced at the tail end of this season. It kind of makes me think that this Operation Cinder is going to be playing a major role in whether it's novels or further canonized things that are happening in the Star Wars universe. I don't know. And I want to talk about it. So.
Yeah, read Alphabet. I mean, I know you're not a big fan of the books because of reasons, but read Alphabet Squadron, and that's what it's all about. Is Operation Cinder.
You know what the worst part is? I never learned to read.
Books take effort, and life is hard.
No, I'm going to be reading the High Republic stuff. I've got big plans for my Star Wars future. Star Wars is my favorite thing in the world right now. And but anyways, so, well, let's get into it. Let's roundtable it like we've been doing every week. We want to get everybody's comments out there in the chats. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Thanks again for the super chats. Christian Walsh coming through. This guy's keeping me alive. I'm telling you. I'm going to be ordering a big old piece of pizza tonight on Christian Walsh. No, we thank you. And we're going to finally be able to pay Troy and Ryan.
Yeah.
Finally.
We're getting paid?
In soup.
Yeah. What's your favorite soup?
Matzah or vegetable?
You're only two options.
That's all we get here.
Matzah, vegetable.
Kosher? Yeah.
There you go. And then Ryan's poutine, and Troy is probably something with lettuce because he's in California.
Kale.
Avocado.
Lettuce,
He gets an
lettuce is so
avocado,
5 years ago.
and I get yeah.
It's a deconstructed soup with frozen.
How can you deconstruct?
With foam jelly gravy. Anyway, we've derailed. I'm sorry.
All right, cool.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about it. Episode opens up. We've got Cara Dune and the team heading over to these I can't remember the exact. It's the prison yard. They're dismantling TIE fighters. It doesn't look pleasant. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they're putting all of their prisoners to work deconstructing and recycling TIE fighters and all the junk and garbage that's left over still from the Galactic Civil War.
Right.
And the best part is those are the frames you want to pause on because you want to see, like, you see the TIE fighters obviously, but you're trying to see what else is in the background there.
I love the droids with
the
the rebel logo on the droid. I thought that was kind of cool.
I thought it was going
Those
to be
are the same
K2SO
guards,
or
right?
yeah.
What was that, Ryan?
I'm sorry, they're the same droids that we saw in the prison ship. Right?
With the angular faces, and they were kind of at the end of the hallway, and
where he took them apart to break out, right? Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Cara talks to Mayfield, and he's very, Bill Burr. He's like, "What the hell is happening? What do you want with me? Like, let me just do my 50 years in peace."
Yeah.
It's common courtesy. Aren't you going to tell me where I'm going?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not just going to go and follow a stranger.
And now, the interesting thing about this episode, though, I mean, it is pretty straightforward. It is, hey, you were an Imperial sharpshooter.
Yeah, you got the codes.
You got the
talent.
codes. We need those Imperial protocols, and we're gonna find Moff Gideon's ship, and we need you. And the funniest moment is when Boba Fett walks off Slave One, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna be the other guy." And then Mando walks out. He's like, "Shit." But let's talk about it.
Let's talk about how clean not Mando, but Boba was.
Let's talk about what
Yeah.
happened between did they go to some sort of like 501st workshop where Boba Fett learned how to like
Well, no, they clearly made
Restored it.
stops.
They went to
Right?
restoration.
yeah, right.
So while while Din is trying to get information on where Mayfield is, he's
Right.
sitting there in the Slave One. He's like, "Are my paints still here?" And he's like, he went and he pulled them out because he looked, and I told this to Craig earlier. I said he looks Kenner clean,
Yes.
and he
Yeah.
looks like the 1977 12-inch Boba Fett figure from 1980 because he has that same type of like deep green on the mask.
It's very
Or
clean.
on the helmet?
It's very
Like, it's-
clean.
But it totally reminded me of like that Black Series Kenner and the Hot Toys Kenner. It just has that Kenner feel to it.
It's clean, and this
And
is we got to think.
I love it.
Here's the thing. The Star Wars world is very worn in. It's the thing Abby always talks about. It's
Weathered,
it's
worn in.
weathered, worn in, and that's what
Used.
it's
Lived
used.
in.
The prequels are shiny and not as rigid, and everything's smooth. This is
Except for the sand.
the sand's not smooth.
Of course.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's, of course, it gets everywhere.
Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
Thank you. So we're getting good at that. So I think that it's almost like it's kind of an affront to the senses when you're like, oh, that is a beautifully painted armor and helmet there. It looks like you really cleaned it up. And I got to talk about this.
He's like,
How
I matched it to the Kenner green.
right. How cool, Troy. I know you and Ryan had to be freaking out. Those interior shots of Slave One, as it rotated like teacup style.
It was crazy seeing them sitting in that cargo area where, like, in the Kenner toy, that's the only place that you could get the carbonite Han to slide into, and there was no room or anything back there. But yeah, that was. I think somebody in the chat mentioned that it made them dizzy because I was thinking the same thing. Because if that cockpit has the kind of like swivel thing that the Kenner toy had, and you kind of see it in Attack of the Clones too.
Right.
What the hell are the people in cargo base seeing when Boba's just doing this like when his gyro is moving into place? But yeah, that was awesome. It was really cool to see. It was cool to see Boba, for one, like you guys mentioned. It was weird that he kept the black robe, though. That was the only thing that kind of bumped for me. I was like, that thing's probably hot and sweaty from being on, how does he say, Tatooine?
Well, he's probably got to get. He needs new soft goods. He needs
like
upgraded.
They get out Slave One. He's like, all right, here's the rundown. First, I'm gonna keep my black robe. Nobody say anything. I like it.
Take a shower, Boba. Good lord.
2,
This guy reeks.
here's Dramamine for everybody. It's really cool to be in Slave 1, but it's kind of a, a lot of people throw up.
You're gonna want to be.
And number 3, where's my paint? So yeah, just really.
I
cool,
think his flight
cool
suit is
shots.
just shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like
it's long gone.
So it's like, yeah.
dissolved in
totally.
a Rancor belly somewhere, or not
Totally,
a Rancor,
totally.
a Sarlacc belly. Sorry.
Right.
Right, so all he has is his bathrobe. Let him be.
Yes.
Yeah, like Julia says,
It's
let him
probably-
do his crafts in space.
Yeah,
A little
and then, you know
filter,
what?
little paint, little new seal.
I'm pretty sure like it's got to be the comfiest thing because before he had like pants and now he's like got like this like
Tremendously
moo rope
comfortable.
thing with his armor
Yeah,
on
wonderful
top and he's
breeze.
just like
breathe.
It's breathable.
God, I
yeah,
want
it's
that.
like wearing a kilt, right? So
Yeah.
he's probably just like this is awesome.
Truly.
Like
They talk about, so they're going to go to Morak. So I'm not familiar with this planet, but basically it's the same Star Wars thing. Like
Secret
Morak,
Imperial
there's
mining.
nothing there. There's a secret Imperial base. Like you could put a secret Imperial base anywhere. Basically what? I mean, they it's an Imperial mining hub full of rhydonium, right? Or are they mining rhydonium? Or are they what? How does that work? What I know.
I think it's a refinery. Weren't they
Okay.
saying that it was a refinery? And you also see like at the base, there's all the people like in the kind of refinery hard hats and stuff like that. And Rhydonium came up in Clone Wars and Rebels. I remember it was in Rebels.
I know it's I think it's only been in Rebels. I can't remember it necessarily. But I am from now on calling it Rhydolian.
Ryan
Yeah.
Dolium.
I
Ryan
think that's
Dolium,
Ryan
dude,
Dolium.
that could be your new
Super
screen
relevant.
name.
Get
That
it.
could be
There it
wrong.
is.
Somebody.
Let's talk about this planet, Abby. What were your impressions of the scenery? You're kind of a scenery snob when it comes to Star Wars. It's kind of what you care about the most.
It had some lushness to it, and actually, overall, reminded me of Rogue One vibes. Like, just
Yeah.
overall,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
yeah. God,
Jurassic
if-
Park as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
I wonder where they filmed it. Did that look like California to you? Any part of
Elsa
California?
Nebula, I think it was.
Yeah, it was all Costa Rica. I mean, based upon the little bit of behind the scenes footage that we saw in the Disney investors panel, like I think it's all the volume. Like that was 100% an ILM creation of background.
I love that.
Yeah,
Which is why it could be
Wow.
Jurassic Park.
it could be. It really could be.
Right.
Welcome. What's it called? What's the name of the planet? Morak. Welcome,
Morak. Yeah.
It did, Abby. I agree that it did have Rogue One vibes. Actually,
Yeah,
the
you saw some of the same troopers.
the Scarif looking troopers or the beach troopers. I actually got Solo vibes too, just from the way it was shot and just it had a kind of that drab color grading, even more so than some of the other episodes of Mandalorian. But yeah,
The whole Juggernaut thing was just like the train heist
Yep.
in Solo. That
Yeah.
same sort of action and
I got
And
those
the
vibes.
Juggernaut
Vehicle.
is pretty similar. Like it had me thinking of two things. It had me thinking of the prequels Turbo Tank, those Juggernaut things, and
which was one of the
and
big epic toys that Kenner did or that Hasbro did, right?
right.
That was
And it
their
also reminded
big-
me of the
yeah.
prisoner transport from Rogue One.
Okay.
or Solo.
Or
From
Solo.
Rogue
Or
One that-
Solo. Yep.
Yeah.
They break her out of
Oh,
when
right,
they break
right.
Jin
Yeah.
Erso out of the back of it.
Yeah, yeah. She was
Right.
like, "Oh, she's running down the street. Rebellions are built on hope."
Yeah. So
You saw a different movie
So-
than me.
yeah. I
Remember
think
that
so.
when Jyn Erso was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Guess what rebellions are built on? Guess,
Oh.
just guess, guess."
Can you get?
Say it, say it. Come on, say it.
Hang on. I gotta like hope. Hashtag hope.
Hashtag hope. Oh my god, I got 300 likes.
Yeah.
So
But sorry, I just
hate
like
this
how
right now.
the consistency is with the style of wheeled transports from
Yeah.
the Empire, like those Imperial wheeled transports. How there's consistency there, and I just want to point out that I appreciate that.
yep.
It reminded me of Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road with like the
Yeah.
big clanking
Oh, when
vehicle and-
they're jumping over,
Yep.
it had that whole Mad Max feel to it as well, with the guys with the spears.
Right.
little
you
Star
know?
Wars
Oh,
boys, Star
I've-
War boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star.
Before
Star
we
War boy.
Before we get to that,
Star
though,
Boys.
let's talk about what leads up to. So basically, they're going to have to hijack one of these
right.
juggernauts. Is that what they're called? To be able to kind of get there's kind of a transport. There's like 3 or 4 of them all making their way to the base, and So they have to figure out who's going to go. And it's kind of a cool scene. It's kind of like this meeting of the minds, like who's going to do it. This is where they start talking about the ISB. Troy, can you fill me in on ISB?
That's it's like the KGB. It's the intelligence bureau of the Imperial ranks.
Kind of a secret police kind of thing.
Yeah. And so,
but they're in Rebels as well.
Yeah, the ISB is kind of everywhere. They're in the novels and stuff now too. They're a carryover from the expanded universe. Like that was something that came up in what is now considered Legends, and they were cherry picking what they wanted to keep. So, it's cool to see them come into it. And this scene is one of my favorites, where it's like, I can't go. What is Boba's line? Oh my God, they might recognize my face or something like that.
Right.
Oh, they're gonna recognize me. Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if you guys heard, I'm one of the most popular Star Wars characters of all time. I'm epic.
I'm kind of a big deal in the Empire. I don't know if you guys know,
but
I've got my haters, but that's okay because I've redeemed myself in the last episode.
There's even a version of me that's all white. They call prototype. I don't even understand it, but it's very cool. Very cool. So Ryan liked that one. Okay, 2 points. Give me some karma points here.
Yeah.
So
I like
okay, so it's kind of, they figured out it's going to be Migs and it's going to be Mando. Now, Abby.
Yeah.
If somebody looked at your search history today, what would we find?
Mando mask off. Din Djarin no mask. I wanted the image of him with the Mando, like with the Beskar, the gear on without the mask.
Right.
And also, it's fun to look at the other pictures.
Doesn't Craig have a toy of that?
Yeah.
That is not what he looks like, okay?
Oh, was it a little off?
Just a little off. So
yeah, but having the mask off, I felt like was kind of the big like point of this episode that I was interested in because
it was definitely the holy shit moment.
Right.
Yeah, it's his level of devotion, I think, to Grogu.
Yeah,
that gets him.
Yeah. Also, probably hot. I'm imagining it's hot.
Yeah.
Well, Migs kind of puts it out there too, where he's just kind of like, you will go to extreme lengths once the shit hits the fan.
Right, and he's also like, what is your rule?
Right.
Is it do you don't want to show your face, or you can't take off your mask? Because those are two completely different things. They hijack the vehicle. Cara Dune's in there kicking ass. They take out these stormtroopers, and then they have they change into their gear. I thought these troopers, they kind of look like the mud troopers from Solo a little bit. I think they referred to them as tank troopers. But yeah, I thought they were
like a camo green kind of instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I thought they were cool. Definitely cool.
I thought
looking.
they were cool. Yep.
Very cool.
And there was some good dialogue between Migs and Mando.
Yeah, when he says like your rules start to change when you get desperate. And
yeah,
pointing
that's
out
it.
that we're all the same. That's it. Like right there.
Yeah. So they're on their way. And then these kind of like, well, there's kind of, this is where they kind of start implying the kind of the occupation of land type of thing, because you see the locals and the villagers, and you could just tell they're like, it's just not a good situation.
As soon as I saw the locals and villagers, I was like, they're gonna save this entire planet. Like as soon as you see Mando looking at them and connecting and like seeing the kids, it's like there's no question in my mind.
Yeah. It's when he sees the kids where he's just like, I'm missing my damn kid.
Right.
Like, I got like, this is what I'm doing it for, right?
Right. This is where, Abby, you mentioned Mad Max earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely had Mad Max, Indiana Jones kind of throwback vibes.
With the action sequence.
Oh no, it's like, it reminded me of Indiana Jones when he's tired. And he does the okay.
Yeah.
And here comes 3 more skiffs.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
By the way, nobody throws a punch like Harrison Ford.
Dude.
Like, is there
yeah.
any YouTube compilations of just Harrison Ford punching? Because it's very cross-body lunging.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with this episode, though. I feel bad for these pirates. They're trying to take out the Imperials.
Wait, are they pirates or are they locals?
Whoever they are,
Like
they're...
They just said they were pirates, but they could easily be just people trying to stop.
Yeah.
Sorry, they could just be people trying to stop the Empire, right?
It's kind of, they're all the same race. They're all, and I had to look it up. They're the Shidops, I think they're called, or something to that effect.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all the same race. They kind of, because at one point I thought they were Weequay, or the same race that you see in Jabba's palace. But yeah, so maybe it's like they're kind of the extremist versions of the locals that are trying to get the Imperial occupation out. Meanwhile, the ordinary commoners, back in the village are just trying to keep quiet, kind of like with the magistrates.
Trying to live their life.
Right. Just like, please don't talk to me. I'm trying to live my life, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
There's there's an ongoing theme throughout the season, which is, the Empire is still in existence in a lot of ways, and there's this "Long live the Empire." There's this speech later where it says people are looking for order, and I get this vibe that the theme is like, yes, Luke Skywalker turned his father back to the light, and the world was saved. Meanwhile, the world wasn't saved, and it still is terrible for all these people in all these different systems. And I think that that's just part of the narrative that they're weaving through this entire season.
And they're showing the New Republic is making a lot of the same mistakes maybe that the Empire did, that they're focusing on, maybe rebuilding Coruscant or things that we haven't seen on camera, but then they go to these off worlds where the Empire is wreaking havoc on this local place just to refine a fuel, or the magistrate is completely eradicating the vegetation on an entire planet to do God knows what she's building. Are they building more Star Destroyers? What is this building? And they're not seeing that. Like none of the New Republic forces are seeing that or doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like occupation and exploitation of the land and people, and it's not good.
Right. And with that mindset of like, no, this is what they need. People need to be told what to do. It reminds me of, now, what was the movie? Yes, Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. When you see the first hint of Anakin, and he says, what does he say?
Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
That's not what he said. Well, it's one of the things he said, but it's when thank you for that. It's when him and Anakin or him and Padme are in the field, and they're talking about, he's talking about how he hates politicians, and he's like, if I don't know the exact quote, but if I could be the leader and I would tell everybody what to do and it would be great. And she's like, that sounds like a dictatorship. And he's like, I'm Darth Vader. Who cares?
He says, well, if it works, like he has that eyebrow raise. Yeah.
Well, if it works. He's like, yeah. So, similar things.
I'm much too frightened to tease a senator.
Right. Yes. In many ways, I'm better than Obi-Wan. It's worse. And Abby on the soundboard. Clutch.
Yes.
They're animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
Not just the men either.
You're sweating.
But the women.
Relax. Take a deep breath.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Thanks, Obi-Wan.
You're welcome.
They should bring Obi-Wan back.
They should bring him back.
And Hayden.
Can we talk about that later? Are we?
We're talking about it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
This is gonna be
a short episode, so we have time.
Yeah. We're almost done with the episode. Anyways, so they blow it up and everything's fine.
Everything's good.
Now let's talk about a droid story. Whoa. So they make it. Right, there's this huge fight. They're putting these little detonator charges on the Ryandolium tanks, and they're trying to blow them up. And then there's good banter between Miggs, and he's like speeding up, and it's becoming unstable. And he's slowing down, and Mando's like, "Why are you slowing down?" And he's like, "Why are you shooting near Rhydonium?" Like, just classic Star Wars. That stuff never gets old.
Yeah.
Slow down. I can't slow down. Speed up. I can't do that either.
Right.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
I mean, really, in A New
It was
Hope,
like Speed.
It was like Speed. Oh, that's what it was like. It was like Speed. And that's why I kept calling him Wildcat. Okay, now I got you.
That's someone who should be in Star Wars. Wildcat should come. Or
Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's a take.
Like, I'm ready.
All right. She was in...
Like as an Imperial.
Okay. You're just thinking of her in her cop uniform in Demolition Man, because it
I
looks
am.
like
I totally am. 100%.
It looks Imperial.
Yeah, I don't mind thinking about that.
But this Anakin kid doesn't even know about the 3 seashells.
The 3
So it's really Troy. What do you think as far as the action sequencing goes? I thought it was some of the best action we've seen all season.
Oh yeah, I mean it was great, and it did have that Lucasfilm feel to it. There's no other way to really describe something like that. It goes all the way back to the Raiders, truck chase, where it's just it had that feel of like every time you think that they've won, here's something else that happens, and you know that the thermal detonator is in with the Radonium, the Ryandolium, and and he has to get this one guy off of the roof before you can go pick that thermal detonator up and chuck it back at them. And that moment was so satisfying when he throws it and it's that chain reaction of everybody blowing up. That felt to me like the Boba Fett moment from the previous episode where he was like, I was aiming for the other one. Like,
right.
I don't think he intended for that to happen, but he was like, oh, cool. All right. That worked. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah. Now there was sprinkled in here. We do see Cara Dune and Fennec. What's her name? Fennec? What's her name?
Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand. They're going to be the sharpshooters. They're going to be taking out troopers and gunners as needed to allow an escape once they're in there and got the information that they need. Although in thinking, there's a way that this played out where they could have just gone to the terminal, got it, just walked out without anybody ever knowing.
Absolutely.
But
they had to have that backup, right? So I mean,
yeah,
Right.
Oh, well, and as we learned, they didn't really need Mayfield in the first place, but that's another
Yes.
story.
Right.
Except
Yeah.
for him to have a redemption arc, and
Yes.
for that,
Yeah.
You know what?
but he knew where to go. They still needed him for the information of where to go to the terminal.
And he saves Din's ass with his TK designation and talking about how he lost his hearing at the Battle of Tanab and all that.
Should we skip to that? Are we at that point? Can we just go right into that?
Well, hold on.
Before we do, I want to agree with Kat Hansen, who said that it's the first time seeing a lady duo just blast shit away together. Which
Yeah.
I think is awesome,
dude,
too.
that
There was some
concept art
artwork-
of
I was
the
about
two
to
of
say,
them?
at the end of the episode, the two of them, like back to back, like Charlie's Angels blowing shit up was so tight.
She's so cool.
Fennec's had some good moments. That and her falling away and shooting on the rocks last week.
I'm very impressed with her.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of her. Wasn't she in some of the concept art for some of the new shows? One of them?
She
Bad
showed up
Batch.
in the Bad Batch trailer.
Okay, Bad Batch
right?
trailer. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, they make it in. Troy, you talked about it earlier, where they get a hero's welcome, and
Celebration and detention.
You kind of get the vibe that like 1 out of every 10 trolleys full of Rhydonium actually makes it to the refinery,
If any.
Yeah. This is the first time they've ever made it back. Get these guys a drink. Yeah, that's interesting. Neo-lib Republican guy in the chats, which is a good question. How does a blaster run out of shots? We did see that the old trope of the gun running out of bullets just when you need it.
It might not have been out of bullets. It could just be like a shitty gun. I mean, we've seen Han's clog in Return of the
Imperial
Jedi.
issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, keep the questions going, everybody.
Yeah.
The troops saluting. I did notice that I was trying to figure out was it just Bill Burr is bad at saluting, or is the troop salute like a limp hand kind of?
That was like a weird,
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like the Star Wars handshake where they do the full arm kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, they make it in. Heroes welcome, and I think it's Miggs that says what the terminal is probably in that mess hall right in front of us.
And the captain's mess or in the officer's mess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Abby, I want to ask you about this. We're thinking about they're drawing parallels to like real world military. It's not very glamorous in there. And when you think about this officer's
It
mess
reminded
hall,
me of Top Gun at certain points with like the way the light was coming in, and it's just everyone's kind of worn out, worn in, exhausted. It's like a kind of a sad feeling over,
right?
Because most of the troops don't come back.
Right.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me. I said it of SNL and a Quentin Tarantino film, which we'll get into again.
Yeah,
Right.
Inglourious.
But if you think about this Imperial mess hall, the officer mess hall. There's nothing going on in there. It's a couple high-ranking Imperial assholes who have a chip on their shoulder, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that great to be at the top.
There's no good art on the wall or anything.
Right.
No, and
It's
so
drab.
for them to be free, like the two of them when they walk in and like kind of when Mayfield like walks in and freaks out and turns back around, like nothing was suspect about that at all. Nobody saw you do that, like because there's nobody in there and it's such a sparse area.
Well, there's probably already so much going on in there too.
Yeah,
Like,
and that like it builds the tension. It's like the Reservoir Dogs sequence where oh geez, who is it? Is in the bathroom and he knows that the cop is in there and he hits the dryer and you just hear the dryer drown everything out because it's like there's just two of them in there.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I like, to me, that's where I was hooked. Like the action sequence was fun and all of the build up to that and all of the exposition of like, why do we need Bill Burr's character again? Okay, let's just explain it really quickly. We need to go to where? Okay, how does he know where that is? Okay, whatever, just disregard that. But as soon as we get into that mess hall and we have this like heightened tension and drama of them having to get to that terminal in the corner of the room that's, you know, so conspicuous that there's no way for them to kind of covertly go in there.
Right.
And then it turns
they need
into,
to do a face scan.
Right.
Yeah. Again, how did Din's face scan? I don't know. That's a weird question.
Yeah.
I think it just registers a face so that you know that it's not a droid.
Right.
Sorry,
so it's
I
not
could
somebody
be.
there
I
to
could be reaching. I
splice
could
it?
be totally
but-
reaching.
I mean, if you think about that technology, like, I don't know, there is literally thousands and thousands and thousands of troopers. And also, this is the remnant of the Empire, so maybe it's just not up to date or it's a shitty system.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know if you guys remember the Death Star, but it had a pretty big glitch in it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a small flaw.
Right.
For
Not
sure.
everything is airtight.
Purposely built into it, as we learned in that movie that you're making
Yes.
fun of a few minutes
Yeah, a
ago.
little bit of Stardust. Oh, hashtag Stardust. Oh.
By the way, all joking aside, I love Rogue One and I love Jyn Erso. And I think I'm ready for a full-on Saving Private Ryan style ground war movie. Because as I was rewatching Solo recently, which I did, or at least half of it before I fell asleep last night, it was late. I like the scene where you see the mud troopers and you see this like, I like that aspect. I feel like that's
The ATST like going over the camera and like.
I think that's an area of Star Wars I think there's some cool stories to tell. Clearly, right? They're alluding to this stuff. So let's see. What happens here? We have, it doesn't work when Mayfield tries to scan it, so it's going to have to be Mando, and this is where Abby, lost your shit. This is what happened.
Yeah, this is where he like makes the choice to take the helmet off.
Right.
Which is, like,
He
a
looks
groundbreaking
so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Dude,
like,
he's
he
he's
hasn't used
spazzing.
his face in so long. I imagine it's it
He
has to
also
be-
just got the shit kicked out of him. Can I remind you guys that he just got beaten up on a
He just had a
Yeah.
fight.
10 seconds
Right, and you
ago.
got to with that too. Sorry to trail back a second too. Like we got to actually see how shitty the stormtrooper armor is, because it's just like
yeah.
breaking apart. Like he comes
That's
comes
totally
back in
noticeable.
pieces.
He-
Right?
Yeah, he's
And
used to
so-
being able to just throw this gauntlet up there and it just goes.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And so now he's,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that's why I think I love when he's like even taking off the helmet. He looks so freaked out. He looks so uncomfortable. Like he went from like I am the coolest badass on this show to just like the nerd who just got a
Hi,
fucking
I'm
wedgie.
Pedro.
Yeah, like
Pedro
Yeah,
Pascal.
right. Like we got to see a side of Mando, this vulnerable,
That's-
insecure side of him that we've never seen, and I think that's like.
that's what it was. The vulnerability, I
Yeah.
believe, that was
Yeah.
like that kind of grabbed me and got me into the character even more, because being willing to do that, it shows a commitment that goes beyond like his code.
Hey, and they foreshadowed it too. It's just like when you're desperate, you're gonna
Right.
do
With
what
the
you got to do.
conversation.
What let's talk about our new Imperial officer friend.
Dude, he's our first guy in Star Wars
okay.
to have a Southern accent.
Valen Hess.
Yeah.
How does he compare to other asshole Imperial officers that we've met over the
He's
years?
fantastic.
I'm talking.
Does he sound like a bigger asshole because he sounds like an American?
Hey, calm down, Ryan
Yeah.
Dole. Yes.
Says the
I think
Canadians.
that's accurate. Yeah.
Probably.
Listen,
Yeah.
I get. It was hard for me to pinpoint what it was about him because I felt a little bit of not as scary as Tarkin, but a little bit of that build of Tarkin, right? A little bit of the facial structure of Tarkin, a little bit of Krennic. Just you can see that he's obsessed with war and death and just doesn't care. Like, he is all about seeing people die, and he probably has so many repressed memories and
Desensitized.
bullshit
probably.
from his childhood that
Yep.
he never worked out.
He's the middle manager that loves you to do overtime and not get paid.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Right.
You think he could
Right.
come in? Yeah, I know it's your kid's birthday.
Right.
but-
He was a trooper. He was a
He's
good
that guy.
stormtrooper
Yeah.
who got promoted to officer and completely became a total
soulless.
soulless asshole.
Douche.
But he kind of comes over and they start having this conversation, and there's this I didn't know what to compare it to, but there's this funny thing happening where he's like, "What's your TK number?" and he likes the vulnerability you were talking about. Like, Mando's like, "Ugh," like, and then
God, how do I even answer this?
Yeah.
Niner
I think that-
point.
But that's
Yeah.
where even like Mayfield
hold on.
says screw this and jumps in. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Troy, we need David Spade as an Imperial officer.
Oh,
We really do.
We really, that's what I want.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna take this to Krennic.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
get you a niner in there?
Right, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to need to see your TK number. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah. But no, I liked it when Mayfield kind of comes in to like save him. Like at that point, you could tell like where he was like, well, I have no choice, but I have to go save his ass because he like Din's completely frozen in his tracks. He doesn't know what the hell to do. His mask is off. People are asking him questions he doesn't know how to answer. He, and I love how Mayfield just kind of comes in there. It's like, oh, he got caught in some shit a while back. He can't hear you,
Right,
so you have to
yeah,
speak
come on.
up.
Come on, let's go. Because they get the information they need, and he says, come on, let's do your TPS reports.
Reports.
It's like,
Cheap
Yeah.
reports,
Come on, brown
yeah.
eyes.
how do we feel about Office Space references in Star Wars? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I thought
I'm
it
down.
20th Century Fox, now owned by Disney. It's synergy.
Dude,
Yeah,
throwing that out
I
there.
liked it. I thought it was a nice touch.
I mean,
just-
it was
'cause-
fun. I wonder if he improv that. Like, I don't feel like that was in the script.
Din's gonna be like, "Have you seen my stapler?"
Oh man, if it was going to be anyone that episode, it's going to be him asking that question.
Yeah.
Can
But
we
it was-
can we rewind 10
Yeah,
seconds?
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to step on you. But,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he
no,
does
go.
say he does say that he's making an excuse for Din, saying that he can't hear that well after his cabin depressurized at Tanab, which is, in Return of the Jedi, how General Lando Calrissian becomes General Lando Calrissian is the Battle of
It's
Tanab.
that
So I'm
maneuver.
wondering. I'm wondering if that was a subtle kind of like from the story group.
I mean, maybe.
Oh,
Anyway,
Could be.
nerd.
That-
Sorry.
I mean, it
I'd
makes
be
you
cool
think
with
that
that.
Miggs
Back to
was,
TPS reports.
Miggs was probably there too. He was probably just fighting like this new guy that Ryan is falling in love with was trying to kill our beloved rebels.
It's probably true.
He
There
was-
probably
yeah.
was at one point where,
Yeah.
where
Well, that-
Mayfield was up against our,
Yeah.
our Lukes and Biggs and Porkins and everybody else. And-
Yeah. And he's from
It's totally
Southie.
feasible that he was the sixth trooper back on the Death Star running down the hallway.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
He has
Come
so much
on.
moral ambiguity.
Oh God, I'm so
How
sick
am I
of this.
supposed to run in this thing? I can't see in this freaking mask. This
It
is so
stinks.
stupid. Yeah. Oh my God, my palms are so sweaty in these gloves. I just can't wait till I'm a freaking
I can't believe
officer and
I
can
hit my
take these
head on
things
the
up.
blast doors again.
Yeah,
What the
you think this
fuck is this about?
Dude.
Yep, I
Oh,
love it.
God.
Him
I love it.
sweeping in though in that moment I think was awesome because Din is obviously caught off guard because his face is exposed. He's on their turf. He has no idea how to explain himself out of this. He's not very good at explaining himself out of things, but thankfully Mayfield is, and he shows up and does that little rescue move.
Yeah.
And then we move on to the drinks, which is
No, we
Yeah.
get brown eyes.
oh,
we
you get brown eyes
brown
first,
eyes.
and then
brown eyes, which is great because that's what I'm going to refer to Mando as from now.
Brown eyes.
Yeah.
Hey, brown eyes. Hey,
Yeah.
pretty eyes.
yeah.
So he comes over and he kind of I don't have my.
Hey, wait a second. Do you think Mayfield was flirting with him?
I hope so.
Like-
They play into our
I
plan for the
hope-
Star Wars universe.
Maybe.
Going forward.
Yeah, man. I think this is ready. I think Star Wars is ready to have
Yes.
Mayfield and Din hook up. I'm ready.
Yes.
And then Grogu can be in My Two
Ship it.
Dads, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could just see it. He's
Dad
like,
culture.
Din's walking around. Miggs is walking around the house with a towel on. He's like, "Hey, Mando, this is the way. Let's go." So
Let's put the seat down. This is the way.
okay. So, so they sit down to have a drink. He's like, troopers, let's have a drink. And I'm trying to think the line that Mayfield says that.
He says to the Empire before the big moment.
Oh, right.
Oh, he talks about freedom versus order.
Oh, okay. So he says, I was in Burning Con, right? Is that what he says? Or no, he references
Operation Cinder?
Operation
he
Cinder.
references Operation,
Yeah.
and the guy does the old Biff Tannen. Very good. You know your history. like that's exactly what it reminded me of. I was told that someday some trooper would show up asking about the
With some
Operation
crazy
Cinder.
brown-eyed guy who can't talk.
Never thought it'd be you. So let's talk about Cinder. We alluded to it earlier. This was, from what I understand, the failsafe operation of the Empire should the Emperor demise. This was an all-out attack on innocent systems. Basically, somebody said earlier, like a Hiroshima level event. Right? Is this correct?
Yeah, I first got introduced to it through Shattered Empire.
Okay.
Which was a prequel comic that came out, I think, before Force Awakens. So
Yeah, that was the one with Poe's mom, right?
Right, and that's when they first kind of show it, where they go off to go save Naboo, because obviously that's where Palpatine's from. So there's probably some secrets there. So Palpatine's like, well, I'm dead. We got to trash that planet because I can't leave any evidence behind.
Right.
So and then I think it got brought up again it did get brought up again in Battlefront 2.
It's a huge part of Battlefront 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the main thing. Sorry, I rarely played the story mode because I was always online. But yes,
Quit bragging about your high-speed internet.
Dude, I gotta tell you about my score. My heavy trooper is at level 375. Dude, I am like a bloody king.
There you go.
On that thing. Anyways, and Troy, I'm gonna assume you know what else it's been in at this point.
It pops up in Alphabet Squadron, which is a huge part of why one of the main protagonists defects from the Empire to the Rebellion, or to the New Republic at that point. Was just looking around and seeing her TIE bombers just destroying innocent lives and wrecking cities, and it's kind of like it's reflected in what Mayfield is saying in this scene too. It's like that's the moment that he realized, like, God, the Empire is killing how many people here, and in the name of what? Because the Emperor is dead. Like, this is a retaliatory maneuver. This is just us positioning ourselves to show our might. This is just us trying to instill fear upon systems so that they will submit to our order. Like, what purpose is this serving except for losing innocent lives?
Right.
And it's interesting that this has become, because it did, like Ryan was saying, it started kind of in that expanded in the comic books and in the video games. This is one of the first main, live action series now that we're starting to deal with this. So it's going to be a huge point of order. I'm assuming in all of the 10 series now too that they've announced, anything that's post Return of the Jedi, they're all going to probably talk about Operation Cinder at some point, because it's such a huge event across the galaxy.
And in Mayfield, he talks about how he worked. Or he was part of Hess's squadron. Like, he worked under him, and how he saw 5,000 or 10,000 people die at Burning Con. And it just had there's a lot of Vietnam imagery in this episode. Even if you go back to earlier when you see the explosions in the jungle, it had that Vietnam feel to it.
Yeah. I've been singing the MASH theme in my head that whole time.
There you go. But basically, he gives this really
Korea, though.
Right.
Right, but I mean,
but it's
let's not get into details here, okay?
So let's not get into details as we're
Hawkeye's in that one too.
It's true.
So
Different Naga.
Sorry,
I
Craig.
thought Operation Sindel was when they rescued Sindel from the Caravan of Courage movie. I'm sorry.
that's the other
I
operation.
had that in the back of
Yes.
my head.
I was there for the Battle of Endor and the Ewok adventure.
Yeah.
She needs medicine.
So Bill Burr shows up. Oh, these Ewoks are wicked cute. So he gives us impassioned dialogue about how, I was there. It was terrible. Like, because Hess is talking about some of the stuff I talked about earlier.
Yeah, and for a character who was morally ambiguous in the beginning of the episode to go from that to be like, wait a minute, this is what I believe in, and this was messed up.
Right. These people died. Like thousands of people died.
Yeah.
People with families. And you didn't care. Right. And he talks, I don't remember the exact details of the conversation, but Hess talks about the destruction and the power that they're building. Long live the Empire. Like, and then the thing he says is what the people really want is order. And I thought that was interesting because what do we know? This is, 5-7 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. I don't know, 15 to 25 years, something like that, before the events of The Force Awakens. We know that eventually this remnant of the Empire is going to morph into the First Order at some point. We also know that this new Republic is not going to last because by the time we get to Force Awakens, it's just the Resistance, and it's there's not a whole lot there. Yeah. It's basically, a couple hundred people. So I think this time period, this time between, Mandalorian leading up to the events of Force Awakens, there's so much room to expand, and I'm very interested on, what happened, like how exactly did the Emperor from beyond the grave pull the strings to organize this? At what point does this new empire fall apart at some point? Is the First Order rise from the ashes of the new empire? Like, is there a trilogy of movies that we could get to tell that story? Like, because it sounds cool. But yeah, just really, I don't know. I felt like this one conversation opened up a lot of possibilities.
Well, and I feel like that's probably what they're going to explain or at least explore in the Rangers of the New Republic series too. We're going to start to see why people are so disenchanted with, hey, look, the Empire is dead. The New Republic is taking over, and things still suck. Like we're still starving. Our terraforming went awry, and we're all sick. And nobody's coming to save us. Like you promised us a better galaxy, and we didn't get that. And I think that we're kind of seeing, like you said, Craig, like this is the Empire seeing their opening. Like, hey, remember when the Empire ruled? At least you were eating, right? Yeah, you were in a food line, but you were eating. And then a further sort of maybe even more extreme version of that will morph out of that being the First Order. Maybe a more. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but it's tough to not see some allegories to things that are happening in real life right now. Like people are seeing in these silos right now of like, here's where I lie, here's where you lie, here's where my neighbor is, and it's kind of everybody is allying themselves in these different buckets, and
and
you
also
kind of see it reflecting here.
And there's also relatable content because, like, here's the deal: right now in America, if you're having a tough time right now, if you're unemployed, if you're struggling, if you lost your job, if you lost your house for whatever reasons, whether it's COVID reasons or just life reasons, it might not really matter to you who the leadership is of your country, because no matter what, if it's A person or B person or A government or B government, you're still in the same situation. Yep. Like, you might, that's where people get disenfranchised and they go
two wings on the same bird, right?
Right. So like, so I do think, and we won't go down that road anymore, but I think this is
no. Let's get into it. Let's dig deep.
But I think this is kind of the stuff I was talking about with like George Lucas talking about earlier. Like you see this pattern. This is kind of how the world operates, and it always
good
has.
Good science fiction holds a mirror up to you and allows you to see into it, and what you see out of it is what you take from it. That's
sometimes
kind of
it's
like
a black mirror.
No, but I was
That's
about
also
to say
true.
that it reflects what's going on in society.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then Bill Burr kills him.
Yeah, and then he blows them all up.
Like has enough of the bullshit. But
Yeah.
I do love that though, where they're just like the dude with the cafe that George Cooper who comes in, looks, and he's just like, "Hey, did you just shoot that guy?"
Right.
Like,
Now
he kind of creeps in.
people have compared this entire scene to kind of a Tarantino inspired or Inglorious Bastards kind of vibe, and it's definitely there, 100%. And I don't think Inglorious Bastards is the age old sitting down with your enemy having a conversation that's just full of tension where you're like, somebody's not leaving this table.
But it's the newest one, or I would say like, as far as modern movies go,
Right.
it stands out, right? So.
Right. But I really thought this was one of the great scenes, like maybe in Star Wars history. Like I thought it was one of the best scenes of the season.
And you gave it 8 credits?
Well, one scene doesn't make a whole show.
Yeah. But one scene can save it.
Well, and Craig is right. He was grading on a curve. He mentioned that. Like, there's been so much awesomeness in this second season. If your 10 episode is a 10, you gotta grade on the curve.
Yeah, you gotta grab the curve.
Yeah.
And then we've got the big escape, right? And this is just another wonderful action sequence. They go out through the vents. They're throwing troopers off, and here comes Boba Fett to save the day. Which, are we getting a little too like? Is Boba gonna turn at some point? Like he's just like here
Dude,
I am.
we gotta talk about the guy that was trying to like creep through the other window. He's like trying to like crawl through, and like they just took his
What
gun
was
and
that
like
guy doing?
pointed it down and bang, like just shot him. And I love how the Fennec and Dune as well, and they're just like picking dudes off coming out the window like it's a video game. Like it was just
and
like
just
that whole
calling their
escape was-
shots. Like top left on the roof. Oh, got him. Boom.
Yeah.
You know, that was awesome.
It was like playing Battlefront. It was so good.
Traditionally in Star Wars, when the team gets together to take on the enemy, everybody splits up and goes 10 different ways. So this was more of the Marvel Avengers, like we've put our team together. We are now going to all work together on this one mission. Usually it's like, I'm going to go to this system and you're going to go to this system. And so, yeah.
You go through that hallway and I'll go to the other hallway.
right. But it was really cool. Really great scene. Boba shows up. Can't get enough of seeing Slave One in action. I do miss. If somebody would have told you by this point of the season, second to last episode, no Razor Crest, no Baby Yoda Grogu the child, I would have been like, what?
In the second to the last episode?
Yeah.
No.
But dude, it all made up for it because we got the seismic bomb from episode 2.
There you
Attack
go.
of the Clones.
Yeah, and I do miss the little headgear that Obi-Wan wore when flying those ships in episode 2.
You're sweating.
Yeah.
Relax. Take a deep
Oh,
breath.
it's just
Thank you
The
very
only
much.
one we're getting for the rest of the night.
Thank you.
That's
okay.
a good
But
one.
come on, how great was that though? Like I knew like the moment those TIE fighters came out and I was like, is he gonna do the bomb?
Yeah.
And then the whole thing opened up and I was like, this is it. This is better. This is better than sex because I know what's coming. This is amazing. And it is one of my favorite things in all of Star Wars is that scene with Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan in like battle duking it out in space.
Yeah.
So when things you hear the TIE fighters and it just goes quiet, right?
Awesome.
Like Christopher Nolan must have directed it. That whole it was just like the bass hit and that was it. Like I was done. Get me a cigarette and a towel. Like I was ready. Like it. That was awesome. I'm glad they brought that.
He's a Jedi already.
Sorry.
He's a Jedi, right? I feel like because I saw the 2 TIE fighters chasing after him, and your immediate thought is like, oh, Boba Fett's gonna waste these guys. Like, get ready. You think 2 TIE fighters are gonna be able to go up against Slave One? Get ready for this. Wasn't expecting the sonic bomb. But all I could think of was have you guys watched the Oral Knots videos? Like their whole they do like the redub lip dubs of all of the prequels and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like Larry Kenobi.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, Larry Kenobi and the midichlorians are their drugs that they go to when they go to clubs. It's a long thing to set up anyway. But but they call that the bass drop bomb. And so when he drops that and it goes, it was that I was just expecting that to happen. Man, I wish.
Yeah.
That was the best seismic charge bomb
there.
since the Holdo maneuver. By the way, remember when The Last Jedi came out and the theaters had to put up signs that said, "Hey, there's this part of the movie gets quiet for a second. It's supposed to happen." Like, were people like
Running up and complaining,
like immediately, like, "Oh, I can't hear it." They just run out of the theater. Like, people are so.
Dude,
insane.
this is the world we're living in now, where we have to explain to people what art is. Yeah.
Now, that was a dramatic pause.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they escape. We do get we did not get Grogu in this episode, but we do get a couple scenes at the end. They end up letting Migs go.
Yeah, Cara
and
Dune has a heart.
she does, and they're very appreciative of what he did. And I think that's something so cool about this show is like there's not a lot of cynicism in our heroes in this show. Like they feel like they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And if you are being helped by them, then they will have your back.
If
And
you
like,
can prove yourself, if you can do that
Yeah.
shot and make that, then there's respect.
right.
And it's funny how people kind of react to that too, because I think for so long that we've had to deal with like very just angry heroes that just hate the world and hate everybody they even have to help. That now that when you have a character that does help people and he just goes about his day, they're just like, oh, new episode, new best friend, right? And that's just not the case. I just think Din's just a decent dude.
Decent Din. That's what they should call him.
Dude,
Yeah, he's just a
Totally
decent
decent
dude.
Decent Din.
Decent Din.
Um,
Dincent.
So and then we've got that last scene, which was really important, which was the old hologram message from Mando to Moff Gideon, where he repeats back, the speech that Moff gave earlier, where he says, you
have something I want.
you have something I want. You have no idea how. It was actually like oh,
Dude, it was his Taken moment. It was a mix between Taken, like Qui-Gon Jinn and Taken, and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
I have a special set of skills.
Yeah.
Right?
I got the Wyatt Earp, you tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me. Like,
Yes!
that whole-
Dude, good call. I like that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was it, man. We're building up to next week.
Dude, I'm going to drop kick an invisible ninja after this because it just has me so excited.
I don't know what we're gonna see. I mean, do we think? Well, before we do that, why don't we do our other segments, right? So there's no Grogu moment
Yeah, I was
of the
gonna
week.
say.
This is so sad. Did you? I
know.
missed him.
Yeah.
I had to
him a lot.
put
That's it.
my Grogu up for the video today because I was like, and I see Abby's got 2 Grogus too because it's just like I missed the guy.
Yeah.
I missed him this
yeah.
week.
I've got this.
Yep.
It's not Grogu, but it's damn close. So
They're not all the same.
they're all the same.
They're not
Do
all
we
the same.
think Grogu is gonna be growing out like a rat tail at some point?
God.
Like,
Oh, like a Padawan.
Get all of his
Rat
wisps
tail?
together.
Yeah.
Dude, are we going to get that in High Republic with Teen Yoda? With him and Team Yaddle like smoking under the bleachers with their braids?
Dude, yes.
I love that.
Oh, man.
Yes,
Badasses we are.
Cutting lightsaber training we are.
Right? I hope it's a musical like Grease where he has like a leather jacket and he like races pods
Yeah,
for like
yeah.
pink slips and shit.
Yeah,
Oh, I
dude.
need bad attitude.
Smoking
Grogu.
death sticks under the bleachers. I love that.
Yeah, man.
Bag of no.
So I won't bust out.
He actually used to talk he had perfect sentence structure before.
Yeah.
He started doing death sticks and then he started
It was
talking
the death
backwards.
sticks that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pull out my Yoda impression this week. Well,
No,
let's go.
you did.
I can't.
Do
Let's go to our segment
want
here.
to? I
Who
can
is-
hear it in your
who-
voice.
Our only segment. Who is the MVP of the episode?
The only segment besides credits.
Abigail, I'll start with you. Who was your Mando MVP this week?
Actually, it's Din. I said because for throwing his bows and cracking skulls on top of the moving vehicle was badass. I know everyone else is going to say it was Mayfield, so I said.
I don't think Troy will be
said
saying
Din.
that.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know.
said Din.
Troy's
No,
been-
you know that Ryan is going to be saying. Maybe.
Ryan,
But it-
Ryan picked Dib last week, or not Dib, Miggs last week. Ryan, who's your MVP?
I picked Din's mustache. It is very nicely trimmed for someone who wears a helmet. No, just kidding. Though that is true. He did keep that mustache really well. But
Yeah, dude, he's got to.
but Mayfield, Miggs Mayfield, he's my boy. He's just my boy, and I can't do anything about that. I don't make these choices. This is what life brings me. I was born this way, and Mayfield, he's my boy.
Troy Benjamin.
I gave it to a non-human or sentient. I gave it to the Slave One. Because the Slave One was the hero of this episode. Not only did it save everybody's asses, but it looked damn cool doing it and inspired us all to talk about sonic booms for about 15 minutes. So,
Dude, and how about this? We should be getting a new Slave One as a HasLab where the interiors are done correctly.
No.
Like I would
Where you
pay
can-
$300 to make sure that vintage collection one that I don't have is completely like
No,
irrelevant.
the vintage. I have the vintage.
I know you do, but I don't.
When you twist
Don't
it,
listen.
the inside does the. It moves. No, it doesn't.
Dude, no, I don't have it, and therefore I want one that's
You don't
better than
know.
the one that you have.
All
Okay, that's
Well,
how this works,
Here's the thing: if they did that, then I would just end up with two. That's how it would work,
dude. And you want to?
I'm going a different route than you guys. Usually when you think MVP, right? Who's bringing the most value to the episode? Who is the one that made the episode what it was, right? When you think of the MVP of a basketball team or a football team, it's who's the player that did the work that brought the team to where it needed to be. And
Right,
because
Wayne Gretzky every time.
Right. Because I said that I thought that was one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars history, I'm going to actually give my MVP to Hess. He was only in the episode for about 6 minutes, but I thought he brought conversation, dialogue, and really great acting. Richard Brake is the character actor's name. He played the Ice King in Game of Thrones. You all remember that
Night
show.
Oh, and he also
What did I-
played.
What did I say?
The Ice King is from
Oh, that's
Adventure
the Ice
Time.
King's in Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's who
Yeah.
he played, right?
Who's very funny.
Do I do impression?
Kidding.
Oh,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I got it. I don't know. No,
But
the
you know who
Night
else
King,
he
the
played,
Ice
though, right?
King. Who else?
He played Joe Chill in Batman Begins.
There you go.
No.
But I thought he
So
was
he-
great. I thought he was
Yeah.
awesome, and I think the complex nature of being an Imperial officer and or just being a trooper or just being part of the Empire at all, it's I think there's a lot of story to tell there. So yeah,
We all picked somebody different. Go team.
That's
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clearly,
that
the
was
answer
good.
was Cara Dune. So she's great. What do we think is going to happen next week? We didn't do our prediction segment all year, but now we got to really think. Where are we going next year? Next week, not next year, or next year.
Yeah. Troy, you want to go?
I'm sticking by my prediction from I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago that this is not going to end on a happy note. We're either ending on a sad note or we're ending on a cliffhanger because we've got one episode left. I know everybody in their heart of hearts wants it to be a 2-hour episode, but there's no way that that's going to happen
Right.
to tidy everything up and get all the loose ends finished. But I mean, this is and I think Jake, I don't want to take credit for what Jake said last week too, but if this is the second act of the story, this is the Empire Strikes Back. This is the middle chapter of, things going awry and the heroes are going to have to come back and save the day in the third act. So
The crescendo.
I prepare yourselves, prepare your feels, because I think next week we're going to be I
Abby's
think
already
these are going to
taken
be
her-
full,
know.
and it's going to be
Call my
bad.
therapist.
So that
Yeah,
preparing
I have
myself.
to. Yeah, I have to. I'm going to double down on kind of what Troy said, and I think I'm getting myself prepared for both, like a part 1 and part 2 will be next year. I do think we're going to get a cliffhanger. I think it's also going to, I think it's going to punch us in the gut. Not even in like the typical Heartnads way. I think it's just going to punch us in the gut, and I think we're going to end up ending the episode with the wind knocked out of us.
Thank you to who was that, by the way?
The super chat came from Sloppy Manwich.
Thank you, Sloppy Manwich.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
very generous.
Thank you, Sloppy.
Now he had a little prediction. Jacob Walsh says we're all going to be crying in our oatmeal next week, and I agree. Sloppy
We aren't
Manwich
already.
says it's going to end with Boba Fett ending the debt and then taking Din in. And I've actually thought about this. So let's face the facts. Bounty Hunter's got a bounty hunt. Bounty hunt. I could see. Listen, Boba Fett's one of the villains of Star Wars and always has been. And like the last couple weeks, he's been like real good guy. I could see it maybe. Looks
But
like
that's why he turned, right?
our stream froze for a second, but we'll keep going here. That looks like you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, I don't know. I do think there's going to be some emotional stuff that goes down. I do think that there's a chance we could see Ahsoka back for another episode. Or I think it's more likely because so we know Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn, and I think that's going to bring her into her series, and that's where we're going to see Ezra, other Rebels type things. But we know that Bo-Katan is looking for that dark saber, and I do think we're going to see her and kind of come together with this team.
We could get Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, and Din in like the same room together, which is that kind of gave me a little bit of chills there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I as far as how is it going to end on a bad or down note, maybe. I mean, I could see a character, dying. I don't think it's going to be Grogu. I think the thing I want to talk about though is, do we think we are going to see that Jedi? I don't think they would have had Grogu on that Seeing Stone for a whole episode.
Yeah.
And then not get it for another full year?
Yeah.
Even if
Or
it's
at
just
least teased?
at the end of the episode, like a tease is what I was thinking. That feels likely. And I echo what y'all are saying with this is going to be like a hard like Empire level. This is the middle act. So there's going to be conflict and it's not going to have all the loose ends tied up. So personally, I'm kind of not looking forward to next week because I am, but I'm a little bit
If next week ends with Boba Fett wheeling a carbonized Mando into the Slave One.
Dude, I think if Boba Fett turns next episode, that'll put him back on the top of like the Star Wars villain list.
Right.
And I think that actually wouldn't be such a bad idea. But because Abby brought it up, I want to know if Abby's thought about it since last week. Who do you think is going to answer the call?
Answer the Jedi call?
Answer the Jedi call.
I don't really have any working theories, honestly. Probably have to go to Craig on this one. Like it could be anyone. I feel like we've probably thrown them all out. I don't have anyone in particular
Could
that
be
I'm
Luke.
thinking of.
Could be Leia. Could be Mace Windu. Could be Cal Kestis.
Could be not going to be
for
Mace
Cal.
Windu.
I mean, I think they could bring Mace Windu back. I think it'd be a little far fetched, but I think they could do it. I think
that would take away everything of why that final thing that pushed Anakin over the edge.
Yeah.
His death is too important to do that with.
Well, what about Mara Jade? Like we talked earlier.
Whoa! If she answers that, dude.
That one now was she?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with Legends canon. Was she a Force user? Was Mara Jade a Force user?
Yeah, she was like the Emperor's right-hand man for a bit too. Was she not?
I mean,
and had infiltrated Jabba's palace, and there was a whole thing. She was trying to assassinate Luke Skywalker. Was her whole spiel,
and then they fell in love, and they're not supposed to.
And then he dumps her for Lando.
Here,
Yes.
Here's the thing,
And that's canon now.
I worry headcanon, right? I worry that if Luke Skywalker doesn't show up, we're all going to be like, oh, what a letdown, And,
well, come on. That's kind of fair to feel that way, correct?
I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm right there with you guys. I feel like that would be like a heart-soaring, triumphant moment if in the end, the final concluding episode of this season, if it looks like they're about to fall, everything looks like they're done for, and then out of the steam comes Luke Skywalker, and he's like, "I got your call, kid." Like, oh my god, that would be fucking amazing.
Then he kills Grogu.
Yeah. Oh god. But I sense darkness in him.
Well, there goes Luke sensing darkness in people again. We can't even go to Target with him without him killing everybody.
But I feel like that would be so counterintuitive to what this show has done so far, where it has been about Mando and the child, like having somebody show up miraculously in the season finale to save the day. And I'm sure I'll be eating crow because it may end up happening, but like it doesn't feel like the right move. Like it feels like if anybody's going to save the day, it's Din. And whoever his posse is, whoever the people are that surround him, obviously.
Right.
But those of us holding our breath that like Cal Kestis is going to come out and just
Nobody's
waste
holding their breath for that.
Moff Gideon and all sorts of people. Like, I don't see that happening.
I don't see a Jedi showing up to save the day. I think it's more like the episode plays out as it needs to play out. And then I do believe Mando will be the one to I think all of that will happen, but I think there will be some sort of tease or allusion at the end to because they made a point, like bring him to the Seeing Stone, he will connect with the Force, and maybe Jedi will come looking for him. I feel like it'd be weird to not even hint at what that payoff could possibly be. But
and again, you guys are only throwing out light side Force users.
Right.
That's the other thing too. Like, what it set him up to the conduit party line of the Force. What if somebody who's attuned to the dark side was on the other end of that? And we know that Grogu has hate inside him and anger and
dude, Snoke's gonna show up.
Yeah,
Snoke is coming.
Whoa,
Snoke is coming. Well, listen, everybody, we're already at an hour and a half. I know we said we wanted to let's do a little rapid fire for just a couple minutes here.
Let's say happy birthday to Christian Walsh also, because it's his
Oh,
birthday.
happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Christian.
Yay!
All right, that's cool. Happy birthday, man. It's late. It's been quite a couple weeks. How are we feeling? We had a lot of announcements. Let's just quick, because we're going to talk about it in depth on the podcast. What were you most excited about yesterday? Let's just do that. Troy Benjamin. What as they say in the wrestling world, what popped you?
What popped me? It was the one that I wasn't expecting, which was the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron film. I mean, I'm excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi because I want to see that story. Obviously, I'm excited for Andor because I want to see Rogue One continue. I'm excited for Ahsoka because I feel like there's so much story continuing to need to be told there. But like Top Gun, set in the post-sequel trilogy era, which is what it's kind of sounding like it might end up being.
Right.
And especially because I've been playing a lot of Squadrons. I've been reading the Alphabet Squadron books. Like, that is such a rich, cool, just a great canvas for them to work with. And it could also interweave characters from the sequel trilogy and kind of help bridge us into whatever the next series of films are. It will continue the story, but will be its own sort of isolated thing. I think that's exciting.
Cool. Ryan, what were you most excited about?
Yeah, you know what? I feel the same way about Troy for a lot of the stuff that we already knew was coming, such as Obi-Wan, which I'm super excited about. I'm also very excited about Bad Batch and knowing that it's going to be taking place right during Order 66 as well. So we get to kind of see where they were at during Order 66 and what's going to be happening after with the clones. So that to me is really interesting to see how the clones are going to... So I'm really excited about Bad Batch. I'm also excited about Lando because I really hope they explore his sexuality a lot. And, and just trying to think of what else was there. Oh, there's the one, God, what was it? The one where they do like an espionage one.
Well, the Andor one?
Not Andor. But it was called like...
Well, there's
something.
Acolyte.
Acolyte?
There's Acolyte?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one.
And that's in the
piqued
High
my
Republic.
interest.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be set in the High Republic era.
They said the
Yep.
final
Yeah.
days of the High Republic, and there's
Yeah.
We're
dark
gonna start
side.
at the end of it.
Right. No, I mean, well, I think that's cool because you can explore a bunch of stuff that you don't have to worry too much about interfering with current canon and everything.
Right, and it could lead into how we see things in the prequels as well.
Right. I'm very excited about the Taika Waititi movie as well as the Patty Jenkins movie, but seeing that those are 3, 4, 5 years down the road, Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen's back, and it starts filming in a couple weeks, and we've known it's coming for a long time. But man, I'm thrilled that we're getting Ewan McGregor back in that role. It didn't seem like something that would have ever happened. Well, a lot of what's happening in Star Wars doesn't seem like. I mean, that's been, people can be critical of the Disney purchase and all that, but the fact is since 2015, Star Wars has been back, and we've gotten to see Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford and all of this new stuff that I don't know. It just, listen, from 1984 when I was born to 1999, there was 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Then we got 3 more. So for the basically first 30 years of my life, there was the 6 Star Wars movies, and that was what you got. Books,
Unless you watch the Ewok cartoon.
unless you watch the
like I
Ewok
did.
cartoon.
And the adventures,
Or
like those
droids.
Ewok
Yeah.
movies.
But
I mean, and
knowing
droids,
now,
which
we're
had an awesome theme song done by Sting, by the way.
I don't know. It's just crazy to be a Star Wars fan. So it's all exciting. It's just
10.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. Over
10
10
things,
yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
And including Willow and Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna
it's
say,
just, it's,
Right.
That's what I'm excited
Yeah,
about.
sorry.
The non-Star
Yeah.
Wars would be Willow, and I'm excited for the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Hey,
Oh, it is
whoa,
such a-
that's a whole nother.
It's a whole
Are we all
different
going in there?
galaxy.
I am so stoked for She-Hulk and Hawkeye. You have no
I've opened.
idea.
I broke the seal.
Yeah.
Abby, Star
Sorry.
Wars. What are you most excited about?
Patty Jenkins, Rogue Squadron. The Lando show sounds really cool, and Ahsoka, obviously.
Ahsoka.
it's
Yeah,
gonna-
I
it's
mean,
gonna be
I
awesome.
think
Yeah.
the 2 tie-in shows, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers of the Lost New Republic or whatever it's called, that and Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, both being directly related to Mandalorian. I think they're probably gonna do like a 2 or 3 part. Like I could see doing Star Wars movies straight to Disney Plus. I think that's gonna be a thing that happens. An event series or whatever they call it.
Direct to Plus.
Yeah, DP. Sorry.
Can I
That's what
can I
that
float
is.
something? So they announced Mandalorian season 3 will be Christmas of next year.
Right.
Is that the end? Like that's the other thing too, that I was kind of getting a sense of finality, that like that's going to be the last season of Mandalorian, and then we're going to move on to Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. Did you guys get that sense, or was that just me?
I mean, I think you could
Oh,
read into
I-
it. They haven't
Yeah.
they haven't formally announced a season 4. I don't, unless like Rangers of the maybe it's a direct continuation of Mandalorian. But like, here's the thing: there was this list published recently about the top media franchises in the world, and right now, Mandalorian is number 1. It's the number 1 media franchise in the world. So Star Wars is bigger than it's been in a very long time. And I don't think Disney's going to be too, considering that of the 85 million Disney Plus subscribers, there's a good chunk of them that signed up because they knew there was going to be Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I'd be hesitant to think they're going to be too quick to pull the plug on it.
And seeing as even how like even 1 year later, one of the hottest toys this Christmas is Grogu.
Yeah. Jacob Walsh brought up the droid, the animated droid story, which would be
that's
R2
it.
and C-3PO. And
Jake
then,
is upset with all of us for not bringing up Droid Story.
it's fine.
Sorry, Jake.
He should be. He's upset with me. It's fine. And then there's the anime show. So there's a lot. It's just a lot.
It's almost too
Boiled.
much, but
Yeah.
we deserve it after the year that we've all had.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's a welcome.
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
Yeah, this is ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if there's much more to say other than if you're a Star Wars fan, there's a lot to look forward to, and I think we're in for something special next week. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's-
I think the Ahsoka episode is probably tops of the season, and if they can top that, then we'll see. We shall see. Is that what Snoke said? when Kylo was like, I promise you I can be bad. I promise you I can kill my daddy. We shall see. I promise.
I think we saw a different movie again. I don't remember that.
Jyn Erso.
Kill my daddy's
Jyn Erso. She's like, what is it? The girl at the party you don't want to talk to? Hey, did you know what rebellions are about?
see my purse?
It's a tragedy, Seth. It's a tragedy.
I don't
Hey,
even
girl,
know.
you may have gone to jail, but you don't know what I've had to lose. I've been fighting this war while you've been traveling the galaxy.
Yeah. Well, my dad literally made the Death Star be bad, and like
that's
I could
Charlie.
totally steal the plans.
I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
At Stardust, smash that subscribe button.
By the way, I love Ben Mendelsohn. Just putting that out there.
God, me too.
Putting that
Oh
out.
Me
man,
too.
I'm gonna watch Rogue One after this. I think.
Yeah,
tonight.
that's what we're thinking.
Or as everybody in 2016 typed out, Rouge One.
Rouge One.
Because no one could spell the damn word. I can't even spell rogue.
We're all idiots.
It's
hard.
fine. For Abigail Gardner
Yes.
and Ryan Dole and Troy Benjamin and Miggs Mayfield and Din Darden.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Din Darjen.
Din Darden. And for
Right.
everybody,
I wish I didn't get so much
Midnight Mando.
anxiety.
thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out.
Join us next season for Daylight Dim.
Yeah.
Daylight
Next
Dim.
season, let's get through the next
No
episode
more
before we.
midnight. Midnight's over, y'all. Get ready for
yeah.
midday.
We will see you next week. Tell your friends. Next week's going to be insane.
Hassan.
Midnight Mando will return next week. Same Mandalorian time. Same Mandalorian channel.
Yes. Bring tissues. It's gonna get emotional.
I
Yeah.
always
Lando
do.
and Luke
Guard your
start
heart
dating.
nards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heart nerds.
Heart nards.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.
Andy, cover your heart nards.
My goodness, you've grown.
So have you. Grown more beautiful.
Lando's